Recording going here so people can see it later. First one we're gonna do, we're gonna go standing. Nice and tall. We're gonna soften the knees, get tall through the spine, dig the feet through, and we're gonna reach those hands through the ground here. We're just gonna go through a series of 3 to 5 breaths. Just again, driving those heels through, knees soft, long spine, and reaching those hands, trying to get some of that stress out of the shoulders. We're going to spend a lot of time on the shoulders and the hips today. Just giving that, if you're like me, I'm sitting a lot right now, and my body's not used to it. One more big breath, breathing in through that full belly. Exhale. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try and keep a somewhat tight through the core. Hands are going to reach down. We're going to actively reach down. Their shoulders are going to want to shrug through these. We pull them down. We tuck the chin to the chest. We take that chin, rub it right along the collarbone line, right to the end range, where we can dump the water out of the ear. Again, pulling those fingertips to the floor, rolling the head back, dumping the other water out of the other ear, chin to the shoulder, reset. That's one. We're gonna go 2 each way here. So hands are gonna drive back down, chin tucks, rub it right along that shoulder, dumping the water out, feeling that stretch through the neck, rolling the head back. We're not going to go into any pain through any of these stretches. We're just going to try and take that neck joint through the full range of motion. Now we're going to go the opposite way. So I went right, I'm going to go left. If you did left, you're going to go right here. So hands again, reach. Let the chin fall through the collarbone. I want to feel those fingertips pulling down. Dump the water. I'm going to go for one more right here. Nice, slow, feeling that strain come out of the neck. Next one, we can shake those out. We're gonna get tight through the core again. We're gonna keep the hands by the side. Instead of going just through the neck, we're gonna go through the shoulder blades and get the shoulder blades to move. So we're gonna start with the chin or the shoulder blades up. We're gonna roll them forward, pull them down, pull them back, squeezing them together, up, forward. So biggest thing we're going to look for is we want to keep those hands on the side of our body. We don't want them rolling forward here. We want to try and keep them straight. So we're going to go about 3, where we're really pulling down, pull the shoulder blades back, up, and down. We'll pull them back again, up. And once we get up at that tallest position, we're going to pull them down, forward, up, back. Good. We're just trying to make that box out of each part of the shoulder. And we're going to work our way from the head down to the bottom of our body now, going joint by joint. Next one we're going to hit is we're going to hit some shoulder blades. I know Kayla does these a lot in class, and I love them. I'm a big fan. Egyptian arm screws. So our arms are going to go to the side. We're going to roll this shoulder blade up and around, trying to max out that rotation. Hands, we're going to be watching the other hand. We're going to pull that apart, squeegee the 2 sides, and roll it back. We're going to roll. Think about if something's cuffed right under here. We're going to try and squish the fingertips, roll, squeegee, and roll. There might be one side that's a little tighter. We're going to keep on going back and forth. One side that's a little tighter. For me, that's my left side. Yours might be the right, might be the left. I don't know. I'm just going to go back and forth here and squeegee. Pull those hands to each side of the room and back. Watch the opposite hand as we pull back. We'll shake those out. Next one, these are called rib cage glides. We're gonna lock in the hips, glide the hips or the shoulders, one side, back and forth. Just trying to move those rib cages as much as we can. It helps to breathe through these. Rib cage is where we get a lot of expansion through our breath. The more room we have through that rib cage, the less locked in we can feel. Back and forth. We'll shake those out. Next one, hands. I call this robot hands. It's called the lateral side bend. So we're gonna be opening up again that lateral side of the body, but it looks like robot hands, so that's why I call it. Hands like a field goal. One's gonna go up. That side that goes up, we're gonna reach right through. Try and go up and high, as tall as we can. Go back, we switch them. All right, so we're gonna hit 3 on each side. Just with this flow, this tempo, pulling and reaching each hand. 2, 2, 3. We got 3 on this side, and we'll should feel that big stretch, big inhale, big exhale. And the other. Good. Only difference, we're gonna add a little bit of a wrinkle into this. So instead of just going up and down, I'm gonna send that hip with the back arm. So as I go here, I'm gonna send it just a little extra and get into a lateral hip bend. We'll go 3 on each side as well. So shake it out through here and send that butt leaning through, reaching that bottom hand, creating as much tension as we can. Like I said earlier, we're not going to go into any pain throughout these. Just want to be moving at a good pace. Good. 2. We'll go 3 and 3. Good, and reach, shake it out. You might have felt your hip a little bit in that one, which is good because we're gonna work our way down to the hips now. So I'm gonna adjust my camera. We're gonna get everyone in hands and knee position. So what hands and knee will look like here is our back is gonna be flat, and we're gonna go and we're gonna take this knee through the full range of motion. So, aw, cute dog, it's National Puppy Day. So right here, we're gonna pull that knee up. We wanna imagine just like our core exercises, our glass of water. We don't wanna move any other part than the hip joint through here. So we're gonna pull that knee into the elbow. We're gonna pull the knee up. We're gonna try and drive that heel to the sky and pull it through. It's called a hip car, a controlled articular rotation. We'll do them together. So we're gonna drive it out, try and keep that back flat. Heel to the sky. Feel that tension through the glute. We'll pull it in, and then we'll reverse the circle. We'll go heel all the way up, kneecap out, pulling the kneecap to the elbow and back. Good, so we'll do one more on this side, kneecap into the elbow, pull the kneecap out, kneecap to the sky, trying to feel that lateral hip, heel to the sky, pull it in. We'll go heel out, try and open up the hip, pulling that knee in and back. Wonderful. We're gonna hit the other side. I'll just flip over so you all can keep on seeing. So we'll can do it together. Rip that ground apart, get that tension through the upper body, knee comes in, knee goes out, try to pull that heel to the sky. Now we're gonna pull it in, nice and slow, knee out, in, and back. Wonderful. So we're gonna stay in this position for one more. This is just gonna be like a cat-cow. You've probably done cat-cows before. The only difference in our cat-cow is we're gonna hold this U shape as tight as we can. and we're trying to go one vertebrae at a time, keeping the chin tucked as long as we can to lengthen into that cow shape. So we're just gonna go a nice controlled pace, think about 10 seconds, almost like a marble starting at my butt in this position. And I wanna slide the marble down to my upper back. So we'll start in that tucked U. Let's take a full breath. Exhale. We'll start to tuck the hips back and only the hips. Trying to feel that vertebrae, that tension created along the spine. Chin is tucked as long as we can, and we're fighting into that U shape. Now in that U shape, our butt and our hair are getting pulled together. From here, I'm going to start to tuck the hips back underneath. Try to keep that chin pulled up. Back to it. We're going to go one more through. So in that U shape, now we're going to start tucking the butt back, sliding each vertebrae, tucking it one by one, all the way up until our head's going to get pulled back into the hips. Good. Take a breath right there. And we're going to start tucking those hips from here, tucking the hips back underneath. Trying to keep the eyes looking up for as long as we can, all the way through that final repetition. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Next one I have on my list, we're going to flip everyone onto the back here. So back on the ground. We're going to open up the shoulders a little bit more. The heels in the ground. I want to pull my rib cage so it's pressing into the ground. I can't get my hand underneath because it's flat. My heels are digging into the ground. My low back is glued to the ground. I'm going to go into a W. In this W, I'm going to inhale, and I'm going to exhale, trying to slide my hands into a wide Y, keeping that low back in the ground. And then I'm going to exhale and try and pull my elbows to my ribs, keeping that low back in the ground. So we're going to slide our arms from that W to that wide Y, back and forth with our breath. So we're going to exhale into the wide Y, inhale, pulling the elbows in. Biggest note here is that we're pulling that low back, that belly button into the ground as much as we can to create that tension, actively pulling the rib cages down. So it's just going to create some space for those shoulder blades to move. Wonderful. So while we're in this position, let's get a little bit of glutes in as well. We're in a single leg glute bridge, digging that heel through, elbows in the ground, up, squeeze, and control, parachuting it right down. We're gonna go 5 each side just to get a little bit of a pump before we get into our shin box work. And back down. So we're gonna hit 5 on one, controlling that tempo, 5 on the other, 4, and 5. This next one, we're going to get into a 90-90 position. So a 90-90 position, we're going to have each knee out at a 90-degree angle. So 90-degree, 90-degree through the hips, and 90-degree through here. Wonderful. So what we hit here, we're going to go and we're going to do a lot of different openings through the hips. This is more where I want to say the workout, the strength workout is going to be today. So in this position, what we're going to start in is we're going to start one hand on the hip, one hand on the ground, getting nice and tall. Good. So we got the 90 degrees all throughout. We're going to drive those hips up and then try and pull that sit bone, so the butt cheek into the ground. up, and pull it back. You might feel that little strain through that front of the side, and that's good. Up, and pull it in. Let's see. Hannah, I'm going to have you pull your front knee up a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, so you get the 90-degree angle through here. You're pulled in, so it's really close right now. Try and pull it out so we can get just a little bit more room. Yeah, try that. Wonderful. Up. And the first one we're going to do now is get our sternum in this position. Our sternum is going to look right over our kneecap. We're going to get tall, and we're going to arch the back. This is one of the few exercises where we actually want to arch that low back. Hands in the ground in front. We're going to start reaching long, trying to pull our chest over that kneecap here. Good. So reaching those hands, tucking that. We don't want to roll forward. We want to get nice and tall, pulling that hip over. So we're going to hold this position, that end range, where you can kind of feel it right in that corner of the opposite glute here. What we're going to do first is we're going to hold this position for about a minute. Keep on, if you feel like it loosens up a little bit through the wonderful calmed breath, you can pull yourself a little bit deeper into that position, but we're constantly pulling through the crown of our head, arching that low back, trying to pull that hip off. So after this minute here, what we're going to do is our first time through, we're going to try and drive that heel and the ankle, the feet, into the ground as hard as you can. The second time through, keeping that position, we're going to try and dig the knee into the ground and hit that heel off the ground. So just pulling deeper into that position each time. So we're going to go 3 breaths. We're going to start to dig for 10 seconds, ramping up, digging that ankle and foot together, finding the end range. And 3, 2, 1, we're going to start to dig that ankle in, pulling ourselves, pushing that floor. We want to make an indent on the floor. Harder. We're going to go 70%, 80%, 90, and push, push, push. 100, 100, 100. Now we're going to drive that knee in right away. Drive that knee into the ground. Try and pull that heel off the turf, putting the hole in the ground. 3, harder. Tension through the core. 1, and relax. Fall into that stretch a little bit more. Pulling our chest up, arching that back. We're just going to go right back into breath. We're going to go about another minute into that hold, pulling that chest over that kneecap into the hips. Is it starting to cramp a little bit on the back side? If you cramp through here, that's a good thing on these exercises. This is not a sign of weakness. It's more of a sign of a confused muscle. So we're trying to get those positions in a shortened position that the hips aren't normally in. And then if it cramps, it cramps. You win the day that way. So keep those hips. We want that sternum underneath the kneecap, arching that low back. We're gonna start folding in, big breaths. We're gonna start driving the knee for our 10 seconds here. Driving that, not the knee, the foot, I'm sorry, the foot and the toes. We're going 30%, 40%, 50%. Now drive, make an indent with that foot. Tension, tension, tension. Now we're gonna drive the knee in, try and pull that foot off the turf. 3, 2, 1, good. Relax into it. Pull that chest up, lengthen that spine, and we'll slowly come out. You might cramp out of that position, back to nice and tall. Just a little check-in. How's those feeling so far? Good. Feel it right in the hip, the capsule, more so good. This next side, we're going to get nice and tall through here again. The more leaned forward we're going to be, the easier it is going to be to pull that back leg off the ground. The further we're leaned back, the harder it is. So we want to find that position here where you can get nice and tall and you can pull that back heel up about 6 inches off the ground. From here, we're gonna get nice and tall, walk the air beneath the ribs, and we're gonna pull that knee, the heel off the ground, and we're gonna control it back down, parachuting it to the ground. We're gonna go about 5 on each side. So finding that position again where we can lift it about 6 inches, we're gonna go 5 together. So we're gonna go up, we'll hold, and parachute down, good. 2, up, pull that heel to the sky, and down, 3, up, and parachute it down. We're gonna go 4, up, parachute it down. 5, up, hold, squeeze, flex, get tall, keep that air under the ribs, and parachute it down. Wonderful. We have one more in this position before we're gonna flip over to the other. Now locking that air underneath, that heel on the ground, we're gonna try and pull that kneecap off the ground and back down. Again, we're gonna do 5. We're gonna do 10 of these actually. So up and back down, parachuting it. We've been working a lot of external rotation, and so this will be internal rotation through that hip. Up, right back down. Good. Staying tall throughout. We're not slamming it down. Just trying to control. You might feel the inside leg burn a little bit more. I think I'm at 8. I'm not great at counting. I'm guessing 9 and 10. So now in this position, what we're going to do is we're going to transfer to the other side. So from here, we're going to roll into that big toe, pull that knee off the ground, trying to keep that sternum over that knee as far as we can. From here, this is as far as I can go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my sternum now to the middle of my body and see if I can open up a little bit more, open up my hands. We want to keep the distance between the knees. So what we're going to do is now that other knee is going to come off the ground. I'm going to transfer into what we call a bear position. Knees driving each way. I'm staying tall. And from here, I'm going to try and keep that distance between the two kneecaps as I pull it to the ground. Wonderful. We can dial in our 90-90 position here. Everyone feeling good? Great. I can't hear you, so thumbs up's perfect. Wonderful. Great. We're going to do just that little hip drive first, just waking up the hips. And drive that butt bone in and up. Good. And from here, just going to start to get a little bit more comfortable. We're going to start to arch that back, pull ourselves tall through that string, really almost too much posture, over-exaggerated posture. We're going to start pulling our knee right, or our chest right over the knee, and arching and pulling tall through that crown of the head into that position. Good. And breathe in. Again, we're going to find about 1 minute just kind of resting in, trying to figure out where our end range is. Do you notice the difference between the two hips? Oh, yeah. Cramp? Oh, there we go. Yeah, one hip might be a lot tighter. This hip is my tight hip, so I did my tight hip first. Now a little easier. Might be the opposite for some of you. So nice, arching that back, pulling the chest over. We're going to take 3 big breaths here, just to relax into it. 1. Pulling with each exhale. 2. And 3. So what we're going to start doing is we're going to start driving that heel and that toe into the ground, ramping up. We're start 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%. Get that core tension. We're driving, trying to indent the ground. Going hard, push, push, push. 3, 2, 1. Now we're going to drive into the knee. Pulling that toes off, driving that knee into the ground, pushing it 50%, 60, 70, 100. Driving, 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 and relax. We're not actively pressing into that ground. We're going to try and find that great posture again where we're arched. Not great posture, just great posture for this exercise. Arch and pull yourself a little bit deeper. You should be able to get just a little bit deeper into that stretch. And we're going to breathe out here for another minute. We'll go through and we'll dig the heels in, dig the knees in one more time, and then we'll go through our other shin box exercises. Good. Just relaxing into it. Breathe in. Find that posture again, taking the butt bone off the ground because we're arching that spine. And 3, 2, 1, we're going to start driving that foot into the ground again, actively pushing that foot in, toes in. We're going to start ramping it up to 40%, 50%, 60, now 100, drive. Push those toes, push that foot, create that tension through, and now go the knees. Driving the knees at 30, 40, pulling yourself deeper into it, pushing that knee in, 100, 100, and relax into it. Good. Get back to nice and tall through here. What we'll do next is we're gonna go through our 5 external rotations through that back hip capsule. I like to grab my top ankle here, my top side. This is just a great position for me. Someone else has better range than I do, might be able to lean back on this, but get the air underneath the ribs, pressing through the ground, creating tension. We're gonna drive that knee off and control it down. So if you need a little bit more, we'll just lean forward a little bit more. Up, 2, 3, and parachute it down. Wonderful. Go up. Want that heel to the sky. And down. Up. Down. I'm going to go one more, going up. Squeeze, flex, and parachute it down. Last one here. We're going to go those 10 internal rotations. Trying to see how high we can bring that knee up under control without pain. Very nice. 9 and 10. And the last thing we'll do, just to make sure we're keeping the even between the two sides, is we're going to go through and we're going to go through our shin box one more time over. So knee goes over that chest position here. Get tall. We're going to drive that knee up as high as we can, right through that big toe. And from here, now I'm going to move my chest to the center and try and get a little bit more range till I can't go anymore. Toes get pulled up, my spine gets pulled up. I'm going to dig my elbows into the knees a little bit just to open up the hips. I'm going to finish it trying to keep that distance between the two. Back and relax. Shake it out. Grab some water real quick. I got a little sweaty. I don't know about anyone else there. Really nice job, ladies. Cool. So we just got into some shin box adventures. What we're going to go next is just some more flowing style movements. Just taking some time, opening up the joints a little bit more. We're going to finish off with some of that work that we just did for the shoulders. And after that, we'll get some breathing, kind of wind down, have a quick conversation, and get out of here. Sound good? Wonderful. Great. So next one we're here, because our hips should be a little bit more open, I want to take that momentum and go into the upper back as well. And so from here, we're going to go hands and knees. We're going to kick our feet out long. We've done these before, I think, a Spider-Man. The foot comes up. We're going to reach to the sky, some yoga movements, back down. And from here, the only difference is once we're in this Spider-Man position, we're going to send a single leg down dog, pressing that ground away, that heel drive through the sky. Ground driving into the ground, one heel's up. And from here, I'm going to try and twist that across, back to the single leg, down dog. And we're going to flow right into the Spider-Man position. From that Spider-Man, I'm going to rotate, open up to the sky, back down to the ground. Single leg, kicks up, that foot that was right next to the hand. Go back to that plank and try and rotate that heel across, just opening up those side bodies. And we'll relax it. Good. We'll rotate to the other side now. So foot into the ground, feet long plank. One foot comes up. We'll open it up. And just try and get that breath in each position. Hand goes back, and we're going to single leg down dog, driving that hip back, pressing through the ground. We'll pull ourselves into the plank and then try and drive that heel across the body. So my heel is pulled up and rotates. Is going to open up that side body. Breathe back into that rotation. The Spider-Man. Hand near the knee. We can drive that elbow in. I'm going to open up. Back down. Single leg. Goes back, pressing that ground away. We'll try and pull that heel to the ground. And back. And relax. We'll go back to hands and knees here. We'll hit a couple cat-cows, just breathing through. Getting some love to that spine. Find a neutral position through that hands and knees. And so we're going to go a little core challenge. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Big toes get pulled into the ground here. We're going to go opposite arms into that dead bug. We're going to hold for 5 and back. 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Let's try the other side. Set, go. So we want to see where our body's feeling comfortable moving to. Is it moving to the left, to the right, and back? We're just trying to stay stable. We're going to go 3 more each side and go. Hands pressing through that ground. Heels digging back and back. Good. Wonderful. Back to center. We want to dig that heel back straight underneath the butt. So you can feel that back line tension through the hamstring and glutes. Return to center. We got 2 more here. 2 more. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 5. Good. And go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Finish it up. 1 more each. 1, 2. Heels driving right beneath the butt. Long from your hand to your butt. It's going to be 1 line, and then the butt to the heels the second. All connected and back. Good. Wonderful. Let's get this last one here. 2, 3, 4, 5. We can shake it out. We'll go standing next. We're moving right along. Moving right along. So this one is called a squat to stand. We might have seen these at the end of classes before. We're going to grab our toes, soften the knees. We're going to pull ourselves, actively pull our hips down to that bottom position, wherever we're comfortable. If you can't hold the toes there, we can drive the elbows in. And from here, I'm going to reach up, exhale, open up to the sky, and back down. Open up. And back down, and we can drive right back up to here. Feel those hamstrings lengthen. We're gonna start to gain tension by pulling our hands back like we're deadlifting, pulling the hips to the ankles, trying to get as upright as we can. 1 long breath. Exhale up and back. Exhale long, back. Both hands are gonna go overhead. And we're going to drive straight up. Wonderful. How are we so far? Good. A little different than what we thought was going to happen today? Same? Cool. This next one we're going to hit here, it's called a swimmer. It's going to be really good just to help open up those shoulders, strengthen the shoulders as well. But there is a couple steps to them. So I'm going to walk through it, what they look like, and then we're going to do it together. Sound good? Wonderful. So the swimmer, we're going to do it in a couple different positions. I'll show you my 2 favorite ones we'll hit. We're going to be in a tall kneeling for the first 2 reps, and we're going to finish into a collapsed kneeling for the second 2 reps. What it's going to look like, I'll show you, and then we can do it together. Hands behind the head. We're gonna drive those elbows out. Hands are gonna pull off the head. We're gonna reach back as far as we can, keeping those arms straight, back into a Y position. We're gonna rotate those hands down into an A position. And then the goal is to see how far up the back we can get without the hands touching. Once they touch, in, and we collapse again. And it's the exact opposite. We're gonna pull back, hands pull off, reach as far back, reach into that A, tap, and back. So first one, let's go tall kneeling up. This would be a great time if you have a block at home, you have a pillow. I have a foam roller I can use. We can take that blocker pillow to drive between the knees. This is gonna get some of those adductors that we worked earlier and really collect that core position in a super solid space. A water bottle works, foam roller, so tall through here. Go hands on the back. Pull those elbows back as far as you can. Pull that hands off the head about an inch or so. We're gonna drive those hands into that wide Y, lengthening out. Try and pull them as back as you can. From here, we're gonna rotate into that A, fighting that rotation, trying to get those thumbs back, hands back behind, into that A position. Now we're gonna drive just the elbows, go up the back as far as you can, staying tall until they collapse in, and now pull the elbows in. So now we're gonna pull the elbows back, get tall, feel those abs on, hands off the back. Hold that for a position. Go into an A where we're fighting that rotation back, reaching back into that Y. Hands behind the head, as far back, collapse and collapse, shake it out. That's one. We're gonna do one more in that same position. Ready? So hands are gonna go back behind, open it up, open up a book, squeeze that foam roller, hands off the head, into that Y position. We're fighting that rotation, back and down. To the A, hands should be faced back. Go up the back, try and keep the elbows right in that same position, up the back until the hands touch. Pull the elbows back, pull the elbows in. Take a breath. Find that great core position again. Open up the elbows back. Hands start to go. Now we're fighting that rotation. We're swimming up. Hands go. Touchdown, touchdown. We got one more repetition. The only difference now is instead of this tall kneeling position, we're gonna go into a collapsed kneeling position. It's gonna be easier to keep that core in the spinal position throughout, less strain. So we can set this up again. Hands behind the head. We're gonna open it up. Hands pull off into that wide Y. We're gonna swim down, fighting that rotation, keeping the arms straight. Try to keep the hands back behind the body as far as we can. To the A, now we're gonna try and pull our hands up into that mid back and touch down. Elbows come in, elbows are gonna come out, far back. Now reach those hands back. Swim it up, around, hands into the wide Y. And we're gonna touch down behind the head and pull the elbows in. Good. Wonderful. Great job, ladies. Great job. So we're gonna finish up two more hip cars. So we're gonna do a shoulder car, a controlled articular rotation. We're gonna do the hip circles one more time. After those, we're gonna go into some breathing for 3 to 5 minutes just to relax it down. I'll explain that once we get there. So the first one, we're gonna go back to that hands and knee position. We're gonna give the shoulders a little bit more love. So that same concept of the swimmers that we did. We go hands, palm in near the bicep, or palm in, bicep to the ear. And from that bicep to the ear, I'm going to try and fight this rotation through my hand to go all the way back into my back pocket. So bicep to the ear, we're going to rotate the hand out and try and keep that upper body where I can rotate all the way. Hand goes to that pocket. From here, my palm's up behind. I'm going to reach it up as high as I can before I have to fight that rotation to bring it forward. We'll do 2 more on this side, just nice and smooth. Up, fight. And just kind of like a squeegee. Squeegeeing that hand up and around. And good. We'll get 1 more on that shoulder. Up, rotate the hand. Open it. Palm up. Wonderful. And we can hit the other side next. Palm goes bicep to the ear. Palm goes out, up and around the traffic jam. Palm goes back as high as it can until we fight that rotation back to center. Showing off that control through the rotation is where we're going to get all of our gains through these exercises. Like I mentioned before, you're listening to the recording. I said it before the recording started. My bad. What we're doing is we're really trying to control our position and gain strength in awkward positions throughout the exercises. Next one, we're going to go back to the hips. Those hip circles, we're going to pull that ground apart in here. Knee goes into the elbow, up. Heel goes to the sky and back. Now heel goes up to the sky, squeeze that glute, rip the ground apart, open, and pull that knee into the elbow. Go through that 1 more time each leg, in, out, up. And then we'll go heel up to the sky, feeling that glute, squeezing that tension, opening the hip, minimizing our shakiness side to side. We'll get our last 2 repetitions of the day on this other side, pulling that ground apart, in, out. You might get some cracks. I'm getting a ton of them. And told you all this was my bad hit. And back. We'll get this last one, pulling that knee into the elbow, out, heel drive, up, out, and then down. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Nice practice with those today. What we're going to go next into is we're going to go, I have 2 minutes on the clock. I'm going to put you all into just a breathing position. So whether it's breathing on your back with your feet up, you can put your feet up on a couch. I just want us to get out of this parasympathetic state of this fight or flight, out of our workout into a relaxed state, calm state. It's really good, especially after all these joint rotations. If you've done them for the first time, just a great way to calm ourselves. So figure out your favorite position to lie in, to breathe in. I want to have you focus on long, controlled breaths. This is just a great way to manage stress through the body, as well as to decompress after a great workout like that. So what we'll do is lock in our breath here. I got my timer on my phone. I'm going to let you go for 2 minutes. Just long inhales, exhales, and we'll come to you in a short time. Go for about 5 more breaths here. Very nice. We'll start coming to whenever you're ready, whenever you feel good. Shake it out. Shake it out, shake it out. Good. If you guys want to unmute yourself at all, we can talk for a little bit at the end. Just check in, see how you both are doing. If you have any questions for me, you can ask a question. If not, I had a ton of fun with you. I know you didn't really get to talk as much. There we go. Hello.
Thanks, Jordan.
Of course. How do you guys feel? Where do you feel it the most?
My hips.
Yeah, lots of hip work.
Yeah.
Good. What's the plan for the rest of the day for you two?
I'm going to brave Costco.
Ew.
You're a strong woman. You got this.
I know. I have to.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. They should be a little bit more updated. My roommate works for Costco.
Oh,
So near the end of last week, I know they were very dry on a lot of foods and such, but
we'll give it a try.
it's all we can do. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I feel like, especially going to some of those big stores, I feel like, I don't know if it's a panic or this like anxiousness where it's like, it just feels dirty. And I know it's not, but my head's playing tricks on me, I guess.
Yeah, I'll probably come home and shower.
Good call. That's one thing I did read is that showering after being outside as soon as you go, like it's supposed to, the virus might hang on the clothes that they found from China and in your hair. So taking a shower with soap right when you come back inside into your sanctuary, your fortress, really good idea.
Yeah, we'll see.
Both are staying safe though, staying healthy.
Yeah.
So far.
Good, wonderful. Well, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. And we're doing another mobility next Monday, so we'll
Great.
keep on rocking with it.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'll talk to you both soon.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.